Hi, this is Usha. Welcome to Rathod's IAS classes. We are continuing the chapter of Parliament. So, in this lecture, we are going to discuss other grants and also the funds. So, in these other grants, we are going to discuss about the supplementary grants, additional grants, excess grants, out on credit, etc. And in the funds, we are going to discuss three important types of the funds. The first one is Consolidated Fund of India. Next one is Public Accounts of India. And the next one is the Contingency Fund. So let us see the one by one in great detail. And these are very important for the prelims point of view. So if you see in the budget, it contains mainly the ordinary estimates of income and as well as expenditure for one financial year. So we already discussed what is this budget and the steps regarding the budget in very great detail. If you did not watch this video, please go back to this polity playlist and watch this video regarding the budget. So if you see the budget, it mainly contains the ordinary estimates of income and as well as expenditure for one financial year. And it also contains various other grants as well. These other grants are made by the Parliament, mainly under the extraordinary or special circumstances. So in this other grants, the first important one is supplementary grant. So what is a supplementary grant? So to understand this supplementary grant, I will give you one small example here. So for example, if the government went for a particular scheme, so let us name that scheme as X and the amount which is given for this scheme is 100 crore rupees. Let us take up this hypothetical example here. So the scheme name is X and the amount of the funds that is provided to that scheme is about 100 crore rupees. But what happened? Later on, one day, government is started spending extra on this. Okay. So the government realized that this 100 crore rupees, it is very less for this particular scheme. So we need more funds. So when we are asking for the more funds from the Consolidated Fund of India, so we have to go for the appropriation bill. So this appropriation bill which will be passed in the Parliament, so under this appropriation bill, the supplementary grants will be provided by the Parliament mainly for the particular so and so scheme. So this type of the grants, whenever it is providing, they are called as a supplementary grants. So if you see here, this supplementary grant, it is granted when the amount which is authorized by the Parliament mainly through Appropriation Act for a particular service for a current financial year, it is found to be insufficient for that year. So whenever for so and so scheme of X, the 100 crore rupees were allocated, but the government realized that this fund is insufficient. So it is passing this appropriation bill in the Parliament and getting the extra funds from the Consolidated Fund of India. So this type of the grant which is called as supplementary grant. I hope it is clear now. So let us see the next type of grant, that is additional grant. So to understand this additional grant, I will give you one more example here. Suddenly, the government realizes that there is a need of scheme for the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes people who are present in the country. So then the separate scheme was not mentioned in the budget, but when we want to employ or when we want to implement that scheme, the money is needed. And where from this money comes? This money will comes from the Consolidated Fund of India, mainly through the appropriation bill. So whenever this appropriation bill which is passed in the Parliament and the fund which is released from the Consolidated Fund of India, then this type of the funds which are for the new schemes which are not present in the budget, they are called as the additional grants. I hope it is clear now. So if you see under this additional grant, it is granted when a need is arisen during the current financial year, mainly for the additional expenditure upon some new service or some new schemes which are not present in that budget of that year. So this type of the grants which are allocated from the Consolidated Fund of India, they are called as additional grants. And let us see the next one, that is excess grant. So to understand this excess grant, I will give you an example here. So for example, money which is given for that so and so scheme for X is, let us take 100 crore rupees. But what happened, instead of spending this 100 crore rupees, government spent about 150 crore rupees. From where these 50 crore rupees will come from? That is from the Consolidated Fund of India. So under this, what happened, there is an appropriation bill which is passed in the parliament. Then from the CFI, that is Consolidated Fund of India, this amount will be released. So this type of the grant which is called as excess grant. So under this excess grant, there is one important condition, that is the government need to explain why there is excess amount that is utilized under this so and so scheme. It need to explain to the Public Accounts Committee of the Parliament regarding why you spent excess money. Okay, so this is about the excess grant. So let us see what is written here. So if you see, it is a grant when money has been spent on any service during a financial year which is in excess of the amount which is granted for that service in that budget of that year. So whenever government which is spending the extra amount, so this extra amount will be released from the Consolidated Fund of India after the appropriation bill which is passed in the parliament, and such type of the fund which is called as the excess grant. And let us see next type of the grant, that is vote of credit. So this is very, very important. So let us try to understand this vote of credit. So this vote of credit mainly granted mainly to meet the unexpected demand upon the resources of India. Whenever we want to meet this unexpected demand, mainly regarding the resources of India, we use this vote on account or vote of credit. So under this vote of credit, whenever there is a new scheme in the budget, we do not know how much amount that is necessary for that new scheme. So in this context, we will go for this vote of credit. So this vote of credit, it is like a blank check which is given to the executive by the Lok Sabha. So this is about vote of credit in a simple layman terms. So let us see the next one, that is exceptional grant. So what is this exceptional grant? It is a grant mainly for the special purpose and forms no part of the current service of any financial year. So it is mainly granted for the special purpose and it forms not the part of the current service. And the next one is token grant. And if you see this token grant, it is very, very important. So let us see some of the facts regarding this token grant. So this token grant, it is mainly granted when the funds to meet the purposed expenditure on a new service that can be available mainly by the reappropriation. So these grants are mainly funded to meet the proposed expenditure on a new service. So the demand for the grant of a token, that is sum of rupee 1, it is submitted to the vote of the Lok Sabha, and if it is assented, then the funds are made available under this token grant. So this is about the other grants, and let us see the funds. So if you see in the Constitution of India, it provides mainly 3 funds. The first one is Consolidated Fund of India. Next one is the Public Accounts of India. And the last and the important one is the Contingency Fund of India. So these 3 funds are very, very important to understand the concept regarding the mains and as well as the prelims. So let us try to discuss one by one in a great detail. So let us see, the first one is the Consolidated Fund of India. So what is this Consolidated Fund in a simple words? We can say all the receipts which are credited and all the payments which are debited under the government, that will form this Consolidated Fund of India. So in other words, we can also see all the revenues of the government which is receiving, that will form this Consolidated Fund of India. So what are the revenues? How can the government get the revenues? Revenues can be got by the government mainly by the loans which are raised by the government. Mainly, for example, we can say there are treasury bills or the e-way bills or the means of advances. So through these all the things, the loans can be raised by the government. So that will comes under the part of this CFI. And also all the money which is received by the government in the repayment of the loans from the Consolidated Fund of India. So these all will form under this Consolidated Fund of India under Article 266 of Indian Constitution. If you see, all the legally authorized payments mainly on the behalf of the Government of India are made into this fund. So one important thing that you should remember regarding the prelims point, that is, no money from this Consolidated Fund of India that can be issued or withdrawn without this appropriation bill or in accordance with the law which is made by the Parliament. So we need the parliamentary approval to withdraw single penny from this Consolidated Fund of India. So these are some facts regarding this CFI. And let us see the public accounts of India. So if you see the public accounts, so it also includes the revenue of the government. But if you see, whatever the revenue which is credited in the CFI, the leftover money will be credited under this public account of India. Okay, so all the other public money, that is other than those which are credited to the Consolidated Fund of India, which is received by the government or on the behalf of the Government of India, that shall be credited to the public accounts of India. So what are all included in this public account of India? So this part, it is again important for the prelims. So please focus here and try to memorize. So this includes mainly provident fund deposits, judicial deposits, savings bank deposits, departmental deposits, remittances, and so on. So these will comes under this public accounts of India under Article 266 of Indian Constitution. And if you see this account, which is mainly operated by the executive action, that is the payments from this account, they can be made without the parliamentary appropriation. So these are mainly operated by the executive action. They do not need any parliamentary appropriation to withdraw the fund from this. So whenever we are going for the withdrawal of this money from the PAI, Public Accounts of India, such payments are mostly in the nature of the banking transactions. So these are some facts that you should remember. And the next one is contingency fund. So in our constitution, Article 267, which talks about this contingency fund of India. So our constitution mainly authorized the Parliament to establish this contingency fund of India, into which it is determined by the law. They are paid from time to time. So because of this, Parliament came up with one act, that is Contingency Fund of India Act 1950, and through this act, this fund was established. And this fund, it is placed at the disposal of the President, and we can make the advances out of it mainly to meet the unforeseen expenditure that is pending its authorization by the Parliament. So whenever we want to meet this unforeseen expenditure, so in that case, whenever this authorization which is not passed by the Parliament, then the money can be withdrawn from this contingency fund. And this contingency fund, which is held by the Finance Secretary mainly on the behalf of the President. So like the public accounts of the India, it is also operated by the executive action because it is under the disposal of the President. So these are some facts that you should remember regarding the mains and as well as prelims. So by this we are concluding this video. I hope you understand this lecture. Thank you so much. Please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to like, share and comment my videos. For the notes, please refer your Lakshmikant. Thank you.